to get inspiration for tonight, because I know I could ask you guys like what's bugging you, but the thing is that this really does like us to be a bit specific. And I know there's a lot of general things that are probably happening in the group. But I know that like probably the exhaustion, overwhelm, the anxiety, maybe even a little like depression or loneliness or something is probably some common threads happening here that are more on the negative side of how people are feeling. Am I right?
There's,
maybe.
I could unroll the scroll and we can begin our list.
Yes, right. And each one of those things really deserves its own attention. But yeah. I just kind of I was playing around like in your group today and looking at things that people posted and shared about, and watching a lot of your like reels and things on Instagram, and seeing the kinds of things that, came up in conversations, and kind of I'm going to just use that to guide me as we tap tonight. So just know that there's inspiration there from places where you all show up, and hopefully it'll speak to things that resonate. If I was like working with you individually, we would really get specific about like what's going on or what the thing is that's bothering you the most right here in this moment, because I always feel like that's the thing you want to work on. I mean, if you're feeling lousy, you want to feel better, and whatever's bothering you the most is the best place to start. But we're just going to see what we can do to kind of work on the more general feelings that I believe are shared common threads for most of you ladies. So if you haven't hydrated yet, go ahead and take some water and just kind of feel into just where you are today. Like, just feel yourself in your body, the whole sit and know that you're sitting kind of a feeling, and just get a little conscious about what you're feeling right now. And then I want you to think about how you feel on the hard days, like when things aren't going well, knowing that I'm sure everyone in this group has a different challenge or a different thing that is most difficult for them. Just think about the hard days. And if today was a hard day, then use today as an example in your mind and think about it. And I want you to rate that feeling on that scale that we talked about, 0 to 10, with 10 being, the most distressed, stressed, anxious, worried, depressed, whatever the emotion is for you, and 0 being like, I feel great. In which case, I'm not sure why you're here tonight, but still good to see you. And just write your number down. And, if you want to, even share it in the chat. Part of the reason that we do this, not just for ourselves to see how much we've shifted, is because sometimes such a difference comes up for us that we discount ourselves and the ability that we had to show up and make such a difference in our lives that quickly, and we're like, oh, well, I must not have felt that bad. Like if you go from like a 7 to a 0, which 2 people that I worked with earlier today did, and you're like, well, no, it must not have been a 7, it couldn't have been that bad. Like, you are that powerful, guys. Like, you are that powerful. You have that much control and power over the way you feel and show up. So you got to give yourself credit there. That's for sure. And once you have your number, then what we're going to do is it's going to be like follow the leader. So I would recommend that if you're not already, to mute yourself. Not because I don't want you to talk, though. I want you guys to say this back. It just can get kind of messy with everybody talking at the same time. So, and I also want you to change the wording if it doesn't apply to you. So if I say children, but you only have 1 kid, or if I say something that doesn't apply to your life, I want you to change it so that it's directly the way that, your life shows up. But also know that if you say exactly what I'm saying, it's not going to like change anything for you. It's not going to make that you or anything else in any negative way. Really only good can be done with this, which is part of the beauty. And you're just going to repeat after me. So I'll say it. I'll give you time to repeat it back. Megan, if you want to stay unmuted and you want to be that voice coming back to me, that can be really helpful, just so that I get my timing right and you guys will have time to say things. And it looks like we've got a lot of numbers here in the chat, so that's awesome. 7s, 8s, 9s, 10, lots of lots of room for us to wiggle this in a really good direction. So I'm excited about that for all of you and myself too, because it's been a long day over here too.
I'd say, Theresa, what's your number?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. Thank you for asking and caring about how I'm feeling today. I would say, and I've already done some tapping today, I'd say I'm like a 5. I feel a lot of the bodily stress right now, like my upper back and my shoulders. I'm really feeling it in my body. My energy is pretty clear. All right, so we're gonna get started. And all right. And I'll just say the beginning part when we're tapping on the side of our hand, this is called the setup. And this is where we just really speak to what we're going to be working on. And then we start going through the points. I'll just show you the points real quick so that you're familiar, because we're just going to follow along once we get started. It's the top of the head. It's the eyebrow, right where the hair on your eyebrow starts. And you're just like, I just use like 2 fingers here. I use like all 5, like a claw on the top of my head. I like to get all over the place, but whatever suits you. You can use both hands. You've got 2 eyebrows. If you want to use both your hands and tap, you can. You don't have to. You can use your left hand. You can use your right hand. Again, you can't screw this up. So don't worry about the specifics here. Just do what feels right. And with the side of the eye, we're just following that eye bone. You know, like if you feel that bone around your eye, we're just really just following that. And then under the eye, same right there on that, where that bone starts. And then under the nose, under the mouth, so under the lip here, the collarbone point, just right on your collarbone. Got 2 of those too. I love this point. I could just tap this point all day. Under the arm, which you can either reach across. This is pretty much like where your bra strap would go around your body. And you can do both sides and kind of hug yourself, or you can act like a monkey. It doesn't make any difference. And then we kind of go through those points a few times. I might throw some fingertips in. If we do fingertips, it's just the side of your finger, right where like the skin meets the nail on the side. So again, we're just going to follow the leader, but that way you know what the points are and you're not worried about doing it wrong or anything else, because we don't need to be worried about anything during this. We're clearing energy, not collecting more stress. So let's get started. All right, here's the part where you're going to start repeating after me, Megan. Even though there are so many hard days.
Even though there are so many hard days.
As the mom of neurodivergent kiddos.
As the mom of neurodivergent kiddos.
And they can really wear me down.
They can really wear me down.
And exhaust me.
And exhaust me.
I want to love, accept, and forgive myself.
I want to love, accept, and forgive myself.
Even though it's the end of the day and I feel like I've been put through the ringer.
Even though it's the end of the day and I feel like I've been put through the ringer.
By all I've been requested to do.
All I've been requested to do.
And all the ways I've had to show up as a human today.
And all the ways I've had to show up as a human today.
To support my children and my family.
To support my children and my family.
And myself.
And myself.
I honor these feelings.
I honor these feelings.
And accept myself anyway.
And accept myself anyway.
Side note, guys, if you feel like you're going to cry, cry. If you feel like you're going to yawn, yawn. It's all energy moving. It's all okay. Nobody's judging. Just let it out. It needs to come out. It has a voice. Even though I carry so much stress and anxiety.
Even though I carry so much stress and anxiety.
About my duties as a mom.
About my duties as a mom.
And all the things my child needs.
And about all the things my child needs.
That seems so different from everyone else.
Seems so different from everyone else.
I want to love, accept, and forgive myself.
I want to love, accept, and forgive myself.
The overwhelm can be crushing.
The overwhelm can be crushing.
So much anxiety and stress pulsing through my body.
So much anxiety and stress pulsing through my body.
I can feel it.
I can feel it.
In my head.
In my head.
In my shoulders.
In my shoulders.
In my back.
In my back.
In my neck.
In my neck.
All the way down to my toes.
All the way down to my toes.
So much stress and overwhelm.
So much stress and overwhelm.
It feels like I'm running on empty.
Feels like I'm running on empty,
with nobody standing by to fill my cup.
with nobody standing by to fill my cup.
And sometimes it feels like all of these differences
And sometimes it feels like all of these differences
separate my child and me from so much.
separate my child and me from so much.
Like being understood by so many people.
Like being understood by so many people.
It feels like nobody can understand my complicated, crazy life.
It feels like nobody can understand my complicated and crazy life.
Or all the weird aspects of my day.
Or all the weird aspects of my day.
Even if they try to or say they do.
Even if they try to or say they do.
I still feel so isolated and alone.
I still feel so isolated and alone.
Alone with all these challenges.
Alone with all these challenges.
And a feeling that I always have to help conquer.
And a feeling that I always have to help conquer.
Advocate.
Or
blaze the trail for my child. And I feel ridiculous complaining about it. Because there's always so much to be grateful for. But sometimes I just want to rant. I just want to sit with these depressed feelings. And feel them. They deserve to be felt. I deserve to be heard. And I am worthy of taking up space and time to express myself. I am tired of shrinking my life because it feels like I need to do so much for others. When is it time for me? I long to be free from these burdensome negative feelings.
Something. I lost that one.
Burdensome negative feelings. And I don't want to experience them anymore. Even if only for a moment. Sometimes I feel like I'm supposed to pretend I'm not experiencing them anyway. Like that's what the world expects me to do. But that is not my reality. And sometimes it seems like part of me feels like I won't do my best. If I don't do it with stress and pressure. But what part of me believes that I'm my best when I'm operating that way? Under those intensely negative feelings. What if I opened up to the idea that there could be more love and lightheartedness wrapped up in this crazy life of mine and all that living it entails? What would it take to love myself a little bit more? Through these hard days? What would it take to accept and forgive myself? Knowing that I'm always doing the best I can at any given moment. What would it take to speak to myself like I would speak to a friend? or another member of this group that's grappling with this.
Or another member of this group that's grappling with this.
What would it take to function at a whole different frequency?
What would it take to function at a whole different frequency?
With a lighter headed heart.
With a lighter headed heart.
And be ready to turn all of this drudgery and chaos.
Be ready to turn all this drudgery and chaos.
Into magic and possibility.
Into magic and possibility.
Sure, nothing's all rainbows and unicorns.
Sure, nothing's all rainbows and unicorns.
And my life will continue to throw me curveballs.
And my life will continue to throw me curveballs.
But I get to choose how to catch them.
But I get to choose how to catch them.
I get to choose how to see them.
I get to choose how to see them.
Excuse me. I get to choose how to process them.
I get to choose how to process them.
I get to choose how I align and how I show up.
I get to choose how I align and how I show up.
How I mom.
How I mom.
And I can always make a new decision at any moment in time.
And I can always make a new decision at any moment in time.
At any time, I can choose again.
At any time, I can choose again.
I am that empowered.
I am that empowered.
I am that capable.
I am that capable.
I can raise my consciousness and create a different outcome.
I can raise my consciousness and create another outcome.
And boy, is that neat.
And boy, is that neat.
My possibilities.
My possibilities.
And the possibilities for my child.
And the possibilities for my child.
Really are limitless.
Really are limitless.
And I am so grateful.
And I am so grateful.
For all of the ways.
For all of the ways.
That I am simply held, supported, and loved.
That I am simply held, supported, and loved.
By my Creator just because I am.
By my Creator just because I am.
And I want to trust in that and lean into it more.
And I want to trust in that and lean into it more.
Because sometimes my intuition can get really clouded.
Because sometimes my intuition can get really clouded.
It can become hushed by all my stress and overwhelm.
It can be hushed by all my stress and overwhelm.
And it really is a beautiful guide.
And it really is a beautiful guide.
All this stress and worry doesn't serve my highest self.
All this stress and worry doesn't serve my highest self.
I'm willing to be more aware.
I'm willing to be more aware.
To self-regulate.
To self-regulate.
And to be open to the idea that I can show up differently.
And to be open to the idea that I can show up differently.
Differently than I did even just a minute ago.
Differently than I did even just a minute ago.
I'm open to the idea that I deserve to feel good.
I'm open to the idea that I deserve to feel good.
And that it's possible for me.
That it's possible for me.
And that I can even be part of encouraging and supporting others.
And that I can even be part of encouraging and supporting others.
And creating a ripple of genuine positivity.
And creating a ripple of genuine possibility.
That maybe just starts with these few minutes I'm spending on myself right now.
That maybe just starts with spending these few minutes with myself right now.
A few minutes to help myself feel better.
A few minutes to help myself feel better.
A few minutes just for me.
A few minutes just for me.
Now we're going to do these fingertip points. With love,
with love,
compassion,
compassion,
tolerance,
tolerance,
and forgiveness.
and forgiveness.
I call my power back into my body.
I call my power back into my body.
And
And
even on the hard days,
even on the hard days,
I'm on the back of the hand, right between the ring finger and the pinky finger, just for reference. I am whole, complete, and powerful.
I am whole, complete, and powerful.
All right, ladies, take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Exhale. And you can stop tapping if you like and just feel your body now. Feel how you're feeling. Think about the anxiety, the stress, the depressed feelings, the worry, the anxiousness, all that stuff, the point was where we started. And if you'd be so kind, let me see your number of where you feel like you are right now and what kind of shift you feel like you made. And if anybody's interested in sharing, how they feel or what showed up for them or what they noticed or what they experienced, go for it. Good. Let's see. Megan, were you a 7 before? You have a pretty big shift. People going down. I probably should have had you put both of your numbers here because I'm trying to do the math now for everybody.
I'll do it again.
Not so good at the
7.
math at 9 o'clock at night. But it does seem like everybody's numbers are lower from where they started. That's great. Felt the tension come out of my shoulders. Awesome, Jennifer. Yeah. And you know what? If you have tension in your shoulders or you have just pain there right now, tapping can be as simple as, setting up with, even though I have tension in my shoulders, I love, accept, and forgive myself. Repeat 3 times, stay in the same place. And then you can literally just, all this tension in my shoulders, this pain in my shoulders, this feeling in my shoulders, it can be that simple. It doesn't have to be, what I was just kind of calling in as I was doing around together. It doesn't have to be that elaborate at all. Let's see. I'm getting my kids to bed and didn't fully participate, but just listening to that and the collective energy. That's great. That's awesome. And that's totally possible. I totally have heard people saying that happened before too, when they've just listened to me doing a tapping round or whatever. It's interesting because you can do visual tapping too. If you were in a place where you didn't feel tapping on your head and doing all the stuff and everything, if you're thinking it really intensely and you're also thinking about the points on your body that you would be tapping, you can actually make some really great progress that way too.